This is the fourth episode of our Overthinking series. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, I recommend starting there to get the full benefit of the journey. We've linked them in the description below, so be sure to check them out. Have you ever felt frozen by fear? What if I told you that fear isn't as powerful as it seems? Imagine, if you could face your fear, talk to it, and uncover its secrets. Today, we'll explore 3 Zen stories that reveal ancient ways to conquer fear forever. Stay with me, because each story has a surprising twist that could change how you see fear forever. Our first story begins on a haunted battlefield. A young warrior, trembling but determined, was sent there by her Zen master. Her task? To confront fear itself. The battlefield was silent except for the howling wind. The warrior gripped her sword tightly, her heart pounding. Suddenly, from the darkness, fear appeared. A monstrous figure with fiery eyes and a voice like thunder. "Who dares enter my domain?" it roared. The warrior wanted to run, but she remembered her master's instructions. Bowing deeply, she said, "May I have your permission to fight you?" Fear, surprised by her humility, paused and said, "Thank you for showing me such respect. You may proceed." The warrior then asked, "How can I defeat you?" Fear replied, "My weapons are simple. I talk very fast and I get right in your face. When I do this, you panic and obey me. But the truth is, if you don't listen to me or act on my commands, I lose all my power. You can acknowledge me, respect me, even believe me. But as long as you don't follow my instructions, I can't control you." The warrior took a deep breath, her grip on her sword firm. "I will not obey you," she said firmly. Fear roared loudly, coming closer, its fiery eyes blazing. But the warrior stood her ground, unmoved. Slowly, the monster began to shrink. Its voice grew faint, its form less defined, until it was nothing more than a wisp of smoke blown away by the wind. When the warrior returned to her master, he smiled and said, "Fear is like a shadow. It grows when you obey it, but when you meet it with respect and refuse to follow its commands, it disappears. You have achieved victory on the battlefield within," the Zen master explained. Have you ever noticed how fear thrives on your reactions? It feeds on obedience. But what happens when you observe it without judgment? Let's move on to our next story to uncover another powerful method. A young monk was sent to meditate in the temple's dark basement, a place where shadows whispered and seemed alive. Overwhelmed by fear, he ran to his master. "These shadows are too much," he pleaded. "I can't stay there." The master simply smiled and said, "Don't fight the shadows. Sit with them. Observe them." Reluctantly, the monk went back to the basement. Sitting cross-legged, he focused on his breath. The shadows moved around him and his heart pounded. But instead of running, he started paying attention to the sensations of fear. The tightness in his chest, his racing heartbeat, his racing thoughts. As he observed without judgment, the shadows lost their menace, becoming just patterns of light and dark. By morning, the basement no longer felt like a place of terror. When he shared his experience, the master said, "Fear is like a shadow. It has no substance. When you observe it mindfully, it dissolves." Running doesn't make fear disappear. It fades when we face it. But what if there's another way to calm fear at its root? Our final story reveals a simple yet profound Zen practice that can calm the storm within. O Nami, a powerful wrestler, was paralyzed by fear before every match. His Zen master told him, "You must learn to breathe like the ocean waves." That night, as a storm raged outside, Onami sat alone in the temple. Fear gripped him, making his breath shallow and his thoughts race. But he remembered the master's words. Closing his eyes, he imagined himself by the ocean. With each inhale, he visualized a wave rising. With each exhale, he felt it gently crashing on the shore. Slowly, his breath steadied, the storm within calmed, and his fear subsided. By morning, Onami felt strong and unshakable, like the ocean waves. His master smiled and said, "Fear disrupts your breath, but your breath can calm fear. Control your breath, and you can control your mind." So, what have we learned? The warrior showed us how to disobey fear's commands. The monk taught us to mindfully observe fear and watch it dissolve. And Onami revealed the power of regulating our breath to calm the storm within. These ancient Zen practices aren't just stories. They're tools you can use today. Next time fear arises, which of these methods will you try? Tell us in the comments. And remember, fear is not your enemy. It's your teacher, guiding you towards courage and peace. If these stories have inspired you, like this video and share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for timeless wisdom brought to life for modern challenges. Until next time, face your fears and live life to the fullest.